video, I'm going to be showing you how to draw a landscape using linear perspective. So you're going to start out by holding your paper horizontally, and you're going to get a ruler and a pencil. Make sure that you put your name and your class code on the back. Now I'm going to be showing you how to draw this in Sharpie so that it shows up well on the video. Make sure that you draw with pencil and that you draw really, really light, because even when perspective drawings are done correctly, a lot of erasing is involved. So we're going to start out by drawing our horizon line, which is the area where the ground is going to meet the sky in our artwork. Now whether you chose to make your landscape a fauvism landscape or a surrealism landscape, you're still going to be following this procedure for drawing your landscape. So we want to start out by making our horizon line about 3/4 of the way up the page. If you feel like you're having trouble getting your horizon line straight, you can measure from the top of the page equally on both sides. So let's say I decide to do 3 inches here and then mark 3 inches here. I can line up my ruler on those dots and I can go straight across like that, and now I have a horizon line that's even all the way across. The next thing I want to do is I want to add my vanishing point. So this is the place where everything is going to recede into and will eventually look like it's disappearing. So a vanishing point can go anywhere on a horizon line depending on where the viewer is looking. In this case, because it's the simplest, we're going to start out by making the horizon line in the center. And the center of the page here is 6 inches because it's 12-inch paper. Now we have a horizon line or a vanishing point. Now we're going to make a road or a path. So I'm going to say, let's say my road is about this wide. I'm going to draw how wide my road is, and then I'm going to connect the width of my road, so these 2 dots here, into the vanishing point, like this. Alright? Now I want to line my road with trees, or if you choose to do like a surrealism work of art, you can line your road with something really weird like lollipops or paintbrushes or something like that. So I'll show you how to do both of those on each side. So let's say I'm doing my fauvism piece of art, and I want to choose something more realistic like trees. That's totally fine, because the thing about fauvism that makes it kind of wild and crazy, it's not the content, it's the colors that the artist used. So I'm going to draw my first tree here, and draw it as if it were in the foreground. Okay, so if the road is about this wide, that first tree is going to be pretty tall. However you draw trees is fine. Okay. Now because it's close, I'm going to draw some texture on there, some bark. You can have some branches. You can add leaves. However you choose to draw your trees. Now, this is my first tree here. Now I'm going to be making my converging lines. My converging lines are lines that measure, they recede into the vanishing point, but they measure how tall something is as it gets further away into the distance. Because remember, things seem to shrink when they go into the distance as they get further away. They don't really, but they look like it. So I'm going to measure from the top of my tray right into the vanishing point. And the reason why I'm making this line red and not black is because I want you to understand that these guiding converging lines always get erased. These are temporary lines. So once you have that line, so make sure you make that line really light, then you can draw your next tree. And this tree is not allowed to go past that red line, because that red line is saying that that's how tall that tree would be. Now I can still do some texture here, but just don't make it as detailed. Same thing with the leaves and things like that. Make them less detailed as they go further away. And then my next tree, I can make here. Now I'm kind of rushing with how I'm drawing these trees, because I don't want you to have to watch a 30-minute video, but any way that you want to draw trees or show more detail, that's totally fine. And then all the way in the distance, my last tree is going to be really, really tiny. like that, and it has hardly any detail. Now on this side, I'll show you one more time just to reinforce it. Let's say I'm doing a surreal landscape and I want my whole landscape to be made out of art supplies because I'm an art teacher. I can make a giant paintbrush. Rene Magritte liked to do things like this. He was a surrealist artist. He liked to take objects, regular objects like combs and flowers, and put them in rooms and juxtapose the size of them to make them unusually big. So I have my giant paintbrush here, and I'm going to draw a converging line from the top of it into the vanishing point. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to draw another paintbrush, but this time this paintbrush is going to be smaller for me because it is appearing to be further away. This one's going to look a lot smaller. This one is going to be a lot smaller. Like that. Now, one thing that I notice that students do sometimes, when they draw trees, I see this mistake all the time. They wind up, let me just show you really quick. Here's my path. They draw their first tree. They draw their converging lines. And then they make their trees look like they're laying on their sides like this. You don't want to do that. You need to make sure that your tree is standing straight up. If your tree kept growing, it would have to cross the horizon line at a 90-degree angle or a right angle, or it would have to be what's called perpendicular to it, which means it crosses it like a letter T. So a good way to check this is if you take your tree, you go like that, and you just light with your pencil, keep going with it. If these two lines aren't perpendicular to each other, so they're kind of like slanted, that's not a right angle, you know it's wrong, okay? You need it to be going straight up and down, like that, okay? Now, let's say you wanted to add something in the sky. Maybe it's clouds if it's fauvism, because it's kind of supposed to be normal. Or maybe it's something crazy, I don't know, like chocolate chip cookies or something. You can draw some converging lines in the sky. So let's say you're doing chocolate chip cookies. I'll do a chocolate chip cookie and a cloud. Okay, I'll do a chocolate chip cookie and I'll do a cloud on this side. What you can do now is go from the sides and draw some converging lines. Now remember, these red lines, these converging lines, they get erased. So make them really, really light with your pencil. And then in there, you can draw another one. So you can see how they look like they're getting smaller in the distance. Okay, so if you wanted, you could actually, if you wanted to make a sky full of clouds or cookies or paint palettes or whatever, you can just kind of go like this. And then you could fill that whole area if you wanted to. Now, if you'd like to add anything else strange in here, you can. Strange or normal, actually, I'm sorry. Just make sure that you're using those converging lines to make it get proportionately smaller. Best of luck.